Wide receiver time. Nank over here, Colston right here. These are all of our wide receiver tiers and rankings. Check out all our other shows. Our rankings are up on the site as well, as long as our top 150 cheat sheet. So you're going to want to download that for your draft.
So let's talk about our sponsor, and you can't be sick of it because we're giving you t-shirts. FST t-shirt. If you sign up for Daily Fantasy via DraftKings, it's great. It's a lot of fun. And you use the promo code FST. Click on the card in the corner here, link in the description below, deposit at least $5 before the start of the NFL season. Your boys are going to give you a free Fantasy Smack Talk t-shirt. You can have Dustin autograph it if you want. And DraftKings, I'd love somebody ask for that. And DraftKings are going to give you entry into a contest where you could win thousands of dollars. You can use it now for baseball or wait to use that ticket for NFL. So Dustin, let's talk about those wide receiver rankings.
All right, tier 1, obviously filled with talent. All these guys are going to go between, late first to early second round. But we have Antonio Brown as our number 1. And I've heard some people say, oh, it's just not a sexy pick. Just because he's not 6'5" and 230, jumping over people, catching balls with 3 fingers. He's just been so consistent and so good. There's no reason not to think he can't do it again. He is hands down the number 1 guy in our opinion. They utilize him so much. They put the ball in his hands, and he's a playmaker. He's the
Big
number 1.
Ben had the 4th most passing attempts in the league
They're
last year.
throwing the ball. They're throwing.
All right, tier 2, we're going to talk about Calvin Johnson. And I know it's shocking that he's in tier 2, but you got to worry about the injuries with him. So through 13 games last year, because he was a little banged up, he had 71 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I mean, it's realistic he could do that again, but it's also realistic that he could be banged up and miss more than 3 games. It's just, he's getting a little long in the tooth, as they'd say. It's a little sad to see Calvin at that point, but it just buyer beware. But you could get a stud in Calvin if he's healthy and plays all year.
Let's take a look at tier 3, and the first guy in this tier, Mike Evans. What a great rookie year he had. He got off to a slow start, but then really poured it on. And now he's got a guy that can actually throw the ball in Winston. Evans is a very interesting pick. I mean, he could very easily, be up in, top of tier 2 or even at the end of tier 1 next year. He's got that much upside. And I want to talk about T.Y. Hilton. This guy took huge steps last year. The Colts offense, I think, overall, probably the best offense in the league, just with how many weapons they have. I mean,
it's bold.
It is a little bold, but
Packer fans are hating me right now.
Well, just with adding Andre Johnson, you got
there's a lot. No, I'm
the 2 tight ends that are top 15 fantasy tight ends. I mean, there's so many weapons out there. He's going to have another monster year.
All right, as we look in tier 4, 2 youngish guys I want to talk about. First one's DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I love this kid. He had over 1,200 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. But the thing that I really like about him, he had 127 targets last year. I see that number jumping up to like $140, maybe even $150. So Hopkins, I think, big upside. Really like him. The other guy I really love in this tier is Brandon Cooks. Second year in the Saints offense is pivotal. I think that's huge. So he's going to be able, he knows the playbook, he'll be able to play at a faster speed. And the other thing that I like, and normally I'm not a huge fan of like, oh great, he worked out with this quarterback, but the fact of the matter is him and Breeze worked out a lot in this offseason. With Jimmy gone, he's the number 1 target on that Saints offense, and while they're going to run more, he's the guy they're going to be looking to pass to. So I love Cooks this year.
Tier 5, a couple of sophomore receivers I want to talk about, and that's Jordan Matthews and Sammy Watkins. And both of them do have somewhat question marks at quarterback, but they're both huge focal points in their offense. With Macklin gone, Matthews' values go straight up, and the Bills don't have much else to throw the ball to out there in Watkins. Both these guys are going to be involved early and often on those teams, and they should continue to grow on their rookie seasons and do even better this year.
Tier 6, talking about Martavis Bryant, and I helped the president and CEO with the stat when he was talking about Brown, because he was kind of sputtering. Just kidding, boss. So Big Ben, 4th in the league in passing attempts last year, so a lot goes to Brown, but then he's got to throw to somebody else, and it ain't going to be Heath Miller at time. It's going to be Martavis Bryant. The kid added 10 pounds as well. He's fast, great hands, really a lot of upside here.
Stopped a little abrupt there.
I know, I'm sorry.
Victor Cruz, I want to talk about him in tier 7. All right, I know he's coming off a major injury, and I know they're saying he's the wide receiver 3 out there for the Giants now, but people are bumping him too far down, and it happens a lot when someone has an injury season. they come back and people they forget how good he was. I mean, this guy was amazing. And even if he is their number 3 receiver, lining up in the slot, he's always a risk for that 80-yard touchdown pass on the little 5-yard catch with 75-yard yak. You gotta love the yak. Don't forget about Victor Cruz.
Yards after catch.
And one other quick guy, Jarvis Landry. I am a fan with the way Miami's going on their offense. I think Landry, especially PPR leagues, you're gonna got a guy you're gonna want to pay attention to.
All right, tier 8, just going to highlight one person, and that's a Jacksonville Jaguar. It's Allen Robinson, and he's not a sleeper anymore. He's getting a lot of hype. He's getting drafted in the middle rounds, but he's in the middle. He's the perfect type of guy that we say you take with upside over kind of old and reliable, because Allen Robinson could have a monster year simply because the Jags are going to have to throw the ball quite a bit, and somebody's got to catch the ball. And we do like Bortles to take a step in year 2. So Allen Robinson is a great middle of the middle rounds kind of guy to take. He's not really a late middle and early middle, so
Middle.
dead in the middle you take.
Tier 9, I want to highlight one guy, and that's Pierre Garçon. You know, this was a guy that was obviously a big fantasy receiver, and he's kind of slowly gone down the depth charts. And it's just because the Redskins are a mess on offense, and it's kind of weird because they do have a lot of weapons, and that's why you do need to think about, you know, maybe taking a flyer on him in the middle rounds or late middle rounds or middle rounds.
No, he's a late middle. He's a late
wherever
middle.
he's going. Because if the Redskins do figure it out, they do still have weapons, and there's a chance he could go back to being what he was a couple years ago.
All right, so right before we shoot these videos, we review our rankings like you would like any of your fantasy experts to do. And as we're looking, we're like, are we hating too much on Marcus Colston? I mean, last year, the guy in 59 catches had over 900 yards and 5 touchdowns, and Jimmy's gone now. I mean, so granted, he is the epitome of a boring pick. And typically we say steer clear of that just because there's not a ton of upside, but he's going so late in drafts that boring turns into good value. So Marcus Colston, you know, if you can get him a lot later, he's going to be solid for you this year.
And another guy in tier 11 that had value a couple years ago and's kind of gone off the radar, but could come back this year, is Stevie Johnson. Got a new home with San Diego. More than likely going to kind of take over that Eddie Royal role that he had last year, and Royal had a productive season. You know, with Keenan Allen, you know, not necessarily doing that amazing last year, and with Gates, with his stuff going on. Stevie Johnson, you get in the late rounds. You know,
Sneaky.
He's sneaky. He's sneaky.
Another sneaky guy that I am putting my stamp on, I'm starting to love this kid, is Devin Funch. He was drafted 41st overall by the Carolina Panthers. They actually traded up to go and get him, so I like that. Right now in the OTAs, he's playing at wide receiver. He's playing at the X spot, so he's the wide receiver 2 on Carolina. Should be playing opposite Benjamin, get a lot of snaps. Here's the size. You know I love big receivers. He's 6'4", 232 pounds.
Big boy.
I just really like that, and I know there's not a ton of balls to go around, so that's why he's ranked this low. But he's just a sneaky, interesting pick to see what happens with him this year.
So there's your wide receivers. Get onto the site. Get informed if you got any questions. Ooh, top 150 cheat sheet will be up on the site.
I don't even know why I'd throw it again after that first one.
Not bad, not bad.
That was a good 3 tosses. Looking like Andrew Luck out here. Ooh.